How's it going? Hope you're having a nice day. So today we are doing a level 1 run of Elden Ring. So what that essentially means is that we start with the character that starts at level 1, which in this case is going to be the Wretch class, and we don't level up our character the whole game, which limits our damage and our health, which in terms means how many hits we can take before dying. So let's get started. First off, we get to this little crafty boy who will probably kill us. Yep, there we go. And we get sent straight off to Melina.
They sir, but I can play turning root to aid you. You need own to the foot of. Then it's
she gives us our horse, so this run can officially get started. We collect a few different weapons just to have some options for different weapons we can use. We chat with Rani. She gives us the summoning bell. I don't think I ended up using this at all, but it's just nice to have the option in case we get stuck somewhere. We also travel to this catacomb to grab the Uchi Katana. We chat with Kenneth and give him a little love tap to, you know, send him off the cliff so we can grab his seed. There he goes. And some more collection, some more sacred tears, the flask of wondrous physic, of course. And we also run off to Fort Sparrow to grab the Dectus half and the Radagon sword seal, which gives us some more attributes, which allows us to use some more weapons, of course. And finally we get to Margit. At this point I think I had like a +2 Uchi Katana, so this wasn't too bad. We do okay damage, and since he's a fairly early game boss, it means that he doesn't one-shot us, which is really nice for us. Because as you will see, in the late game, most bosses will one-shot us with most of their attacks. So still fairly tame in the early game. In the first phase, he is pretty chill. No crazy combos. He does have very complex attack patterns where he can, you know, chain new attacks to his combos, depending on whether you attack right after his combo finishes. And in the second phase, he can get a bit crazy with some of those faster combos, which can roll catch you, depending on your positioning and when you roll. So still can be a bit scary, but still doesn't do too much damage, so we can get through this fight fairly okay. There we go. Finally we chat with Gostock, open the gates, and then we are going to kill him. Sorry Gostock. This is for his spellbearing because this can get us buckler fairly early. And finally we rush over through the area to this cave to get the smithing miner spellbearing one, which allows us to, you know, upgrade some more weapons and stuff. So more damage. I also traveled to this Bloodhound Knight to get the Bloodhound's Fang, which is a really good weapon in general. I don't think I ended up using this at all, so this was just kind of more bosses to fight. Yep, he's fairly easy because we have a +6-7 weapon at this point, so not too troublesome. And we also rush over to this Erdtree Avatar to get some physic tiers. He gives us the, I believe it's the bubble tier and the heal over time tier, which is really good to have because you can avoid some one-shot attacks in the late game. So that's always nice. There he goes. We get the tiers, and next up, for whatever reason, I decided I was gonna head to Volcano Manor to get the Serpent Hunter Spear, which is a weapon that doesn't have any requirements, and it's a really good weapon in general. I still don't know if this was a good idea because to get to that weapon we had to like get past Godskin Noble, which can be a pretty scary boss. He can one-shot us with most of his attacks, but luckily he can be parried. So he kills me a few times until, you know, I kind of learn some of his attack timings and stuff. But since I had just done a parry-only run, I was able to kind of get used to those attack timings and just parry him to death. And since we were using the katana, we could also bleed him, which is just really nice. In this fight, it was just really important to land those parries. You can get some free hits in after the parry and build up the bleed on him. Luckily, the partial parries don't one-shot me, so that was just another thing that really helped out in this fight. By far, the worst attack that he has in his too is this rolling attack. It's not too bad to dodge generally, but because of his pillars, it can be a bit weird where he turns and stuff like that. And in second phase, you really have to be on your toes because of that one attack where he does the belly thrust. That attack comes out so fast. You have to like almost always expect it to avoid it. Overall, wasn't as bad as I expected. Next we run to Rykard's arena, grab the spear and just get out of there. We also went to the Gelmir Hero's Grave to grab the Ring Finger, which is also a somber weapon, and it's pretty nice actually, surprisingly, even though it's a meme weapon. We also fight the second Margit clone to get the stamina talisman, I think, which is nice to have in this run because you can't level up, so the more stats you can get for free, the better. This fight wasn't too hard because, of course, Morgott can be parried, so we have a buckler and we can just parry him to death. Coming up next is the Draconic tree Sentinel. This is another scary boss because his attacks hit really, really hard. So this was another kind of a hurdle on the run. But luckily, he can also be parried, so we can bait how his kind of running charge attack, parry that, get some hits in, and kind of repeat that. And, you know, get more hits in here and there. But this attack is just really helpful because you can parry him, you get some hits in. I think there's like another way where you can just, you know, toss him off the cliff. But I don't want to do that because, of course, this is a challenge run, so I want to like fight most bosses just head on and kind of learn their attacks and stuff. This can be a very, very slow fight. because I'm not taking all the attack openings there are. I'm just waiting for very specific attacks, just because I don't want to get memed. Second phase is more the same. You can bait out the same attacks. There are of course more attack openings that you can take, but they can be a bit risky if it decides to do some weird combos. But overall, as long as you play patiently, this fight isn't too bad at all. Even though his attacks hit really hard, they have a very clear tells, which is just super nice. Finally, I was thinking of flicking him, but I didn't want to risk it because you never know when he's gonna pull out a fast one. Finally, at this point I realized I hadn't killed any of the Great Rune bosses, so I had to like circle back to Godrick first. Which should be pretty easy at this point because we have a fairly leveled up weapon. I think it's like +4, +5 Ring Finger. So this fight went fairly smoothly. Now, surprisingly, Godrick I think is actually easier than Margit. Margit has way more complex combos compared to Godrick, which actually kind of makes sense even lore-wise because, of course, Margit is kind of the simplified version of Morgott, and Morgott is a mid-game boss, so he has a lot more of this complex roll catch attacks, and Margit being the same person in disguise kind of carries some of the same traits, right? So I think that's just a nice little gameplay touch where the gameplay actually matches the lore of the game, which is just great, you know? Next up is the Red Wolf. This boss, even though he doesn't have a lot of HP, he does a lot of damage. Many of his combos can kind of roll catch you. He has this like delayed magic arrows that he can kind of spawn and then rush at you, and those arrows can hit you after the fact on your back as the camera kind of flips. So they can definitely, you know, get you one shot in some combos. Overall, we do decent damage, so it's just a matter of dodging those kind of attacks. And as long as we do that, this shouldn't be bad at all. Other than that, not too much to say about this fight. It's a really cool boss, it's really fast, he's kind of like a glass cannon. And here I risked it all for that last flick. So not sure this was a great idea, but you know, it definitely paid off at the end. Because we get that cool finisher. Next up is Moongrum. Now this dude, luckily the finger flick can kind of stun lock them. So, you know, that's what I did. You'll see that being used in the next fight, or this Rennala fight as well. And you'll see how easy the finger flicks makes this fight, even at level 1. So yeah, I was quite shocked that it can also throw bosses off, which is just incredible. Now, unfortunately, I ran out of FP, so just had to kind of mash my way to the end. Overall, still bosses are not doing that much damage here, so you know, this isn't bad at all. I also grabbed the Ritual Shield Talisman here because this gives you like a damage boost or a defense boost when you're at max HP, so it can also help avoid some of those one-shot attacks sometimes. Next up is Goldfrey. This is a really cool fight. Godfrey is one of my favorite bosses in the game, and it's just a very, very cool rhythmic fight where you can get locked in this rhythm almost of dodge, attack, and it's just really cool. I think it's one of the most fair fights in the game because it doesn't have any like crazy hitboxes or any crazy like attacks that are meant to like roll catch you. He definitely has some, but it's not as pronounced. So this is just kind of like a rhythm fight. You definitely need to have a lot of patience for this fight, because if you kind of rush, he can kill you very, very fast. So as long as you're patient, this fight is just really fun to play around in and dodge. And I get like hit at last second. And so I went for the flick. And there's Goldfrey. Gives us another talisman pouch. This assassin won't let me sit at the grace, so we had to cheese some backstabs on her as well. And we get a parry finisher. Just for that that coolness factor. And next up is Morgott. Now this boss is just really fast, really quick. But luckily he can also be parried, so that's what I did. At least in the first phase. In the second phase, parrying is a lot more dangerous, I feel like. But first phase, it's definitely worth going for. He does have some special attacks as his like response to parries, which can definitely like roll get you. For example, this attack right after you parry, he does like a really quick spin combo, which can be quite difficult to dodge. But still, first phase we can parry him fairly easily, not too bad, and of course the raised defense coming in handy there. Avoiding some one-shots, because I'm pretty sure without that we'll definitely be getting one-shot by every single one of his attacks. So luckily, you know, that doesn't happen. His two combos are really crazy. He can go into like a 5-6 attack ring. If you get caught up in it, you're definitely dead, even on like normal playthroughs. You can also like strafe some of his attacks, get a charge R2 in. But yeah, parries in this fight are definitely very helpful if you can, as long as like you can consistently get most of your parries off, it can be really nice. And that's Morgott. Not the cleanest fight, but still pretty okay.
Lord.
Finally, we get the rolled medallion from Melina, and I decided to kill this avatar on the way because he drops a Lord's rune, so more consumable runes we can have, the better. And we also grab the Smithing Stone Miner's Bell Bearing 3 there. So more upgrades for our weapons and stuff. Way better to like find the bell bearings rather than just trying to like collect the stones individually, because that can be quite time consuming. We also grab the Misericord because this has a really high crit damage, so if we parry someone we can get a really big riposte off. I probably should have used it for Morgott, but I don't know why I didn't. I guess I just completely forgot about it. We also grab the Somberstone Miner Bell Bearing, and then we get to Fire Giant. This is a really long fight, so I decided to use, because he has a lot of HP, so I decided to infuse my katana with bleed, so we can just kind of, you know, bleed him to death. That's kind of the best way I found to do it because of the amount of HP that he has. So just gonna get bleed procs over and over. There we go, phase 2. And I guess I misaligned my position that one time, so that happens. Yep. But we get to it again. And this time we don't get memed by a Fire Giant. Get a few hits in, build up some more bleed. And then we're just gonna ride around on Torrent, get some hits in here and there. And get more of those bleed procs. This phase can be quite dangerous because he can one-shot us with all of his attacks. But luckily, get some more bleed procs and Fire Giant is dead. Finally, at this point, I decided to do a little bit of a parkour glitch with Torrent to get to the consecrated snowfield. This is a really nice glitch to kind of have because otherwise you have to kill Mile, which can be a very frustrating fight because he has some helpers and stuff. So we jump down that little path. Finally, we quit out the game and spawn down here. And from there, we are going to do some more parkour to get to the consecrated snowfield. I failed this jump a few times before I get it right. You have to kind of jump to the side and jump up. And then go down some rocks to kind of get down to the consecrated snowfield. Now this can be quite tricky because you can get stuck in like a falling animation, and if you do that you kind of have to quit out the game, but luckily we get through that little hole and get down to the field. There is a red wolf down here, so we kind of have to rush out of this area really fast because he can kill you very quickly. We find a grate somewhere and finally we get to the town of Erdina, or the liturgical town. We light up the flames to unlock the path to the Haligtree. Now I use the bow here to distract these archers because these archers are insane and I didn't want to have to deal with them. So we distract them, get up on the ladder, light up these lanterns or these figures. And finally, we are here in the Miklas Haligtree. At this point, I can circle back to kill some other bosses and, you know, do some other quest lines and stuff. So we kill Loretta to get to Ranni, because we need the Carrion statue to get the +5 int talisman from that from the Erdtree Tower. Similar strats with Loretta. We can parry her, get some hits in. This is a, you know, kind of an early game boss, so she doesn't do a lot of damage, so we can kind of just steamroll our way through this fight.
Oh, I believe us. It please but tarnish. I have no intriguing. Wilt thou? I am the wit that I might well. I soured a, but I require. I anticipate.
And finally, for this quest, we do have to kill Radahn to get down to Nokron. So here's the Radahn fight. Surprisingly, he wasn't too bad at all, actually, because we have a fairly upgraded weapon by this point, so we do a lot of damage. And here I mess up summoning my horse, so I get shot in the head from the back. But yeah, there's a little glitch where you can despawn Radahn if you run back right at the start of the fight. So we do that, so he just kind of pulls out his swords and come rushing at us, so we don't have to like dodge his spears and stuff. Overall, you kind of want to stick between his legs as much as possible, because he misses most of his attacks there. So as long as you're staying close to him, this fight generally isn't too bad. And of course, gotta love the fingers hitbox, because I completely whiffed all of my attacks there. That happened again. Yeah, hopefully we get a stun here before he goes into phase 2. So we can kind of chunk him a bit more. There we go, we get the stun. And now he's gonna fly off to phase 2. One of the coolest cutscenes in the game. It's just insane, the phase transition. And I don't know how I'm still alive there. That was like 1 HP. Again, max HP defense coming in handy there. So yeah, same in phase 2. We are going to stick by his legs, which will make him miss most of his attacks on us. This one can be quite dangerous. So yeah, I'm gonna jump over that wave. And he's gonna do his little spin move. Definitely gotta make sure to dodge that one, because I'm pretty sure that'll kill us for sure. This little spin that it does can be quite tricky to dodge. I got hit by it twice. I think I dodged it once. Still not fully sure how to fully dodge that, but you know, we don't need to. We flick him for the last hit, and finally we can progress Ranni's quest. Same as Moongrave, you know, since Mimic is also an NPC kind of fight, we can kind of stun lock him with the fingers Ash of 4. Finally run through Nokron to get to the Fingerslayer blade.
not blood. Even in my... It is in thy... My thanks soon must...
And finally we get the carrion inverted statue from Rani, so we can progress through that tower in the area and get the +5 int talisman, which is the Stargazer heirloom. And with that, I decided to like go a bit further into the Haligtree, so I get to Loretta, and we're going to do this fight. I was gonna do this with parries because, of course, you can parry some of her moves, but this fight is actually quite tricky with parries because she has that kind of homing swords and stuff. So even if you parry her, that can kind of come out and hit you. So I decided to just go with a dodge kind of approach for this one. This is kind of a very long fight because at this point bosses have a lot of HP. So you gotta play it patiently and slow, because if you rush in, there's a very good chance you're gonna kind of get comboed and die. So we gotta take our openings very, very carefully. Overall, she doesn't track with a lot of his attacks, so you can kind of like circle her sometimes. Overall, not too much to say. I'll just let this fight play out. I can't believe I risked it all for that finger flick and it missed. That was so scary. I am going to kill Commander O'Neill here to get the needle to progress Millicent's questline, so we can get the +5 dexterity talisman, which will help us, you know, get some more damage and use some more weapons in case we need to. Surprisingly, I didn't know that you could parry him. I saw a video the other day, and so I decided to try that out, and it worked out pretty well.
Everything, even the night, not that I could... I'm with the need.
We progressed towards Paramazula, which means we're gonna have to burn Melina.
The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death. Goodbye.
Next fight coming up is Godskin Duo. I decided to grab the Sword of Saint Trina, which inflicts sleep buildup, which is going to be very helpful for this fight. The main strategy for this fight is to make it a one-on-one, which means you want to have at least one of them always be sleeping or dead. That works too. So we're going to make both of them fall asleep and then try to kill one of them as fast as possible. We also have the Uchi Katana, which inflicts bleed, so we are going to do 4 R1s and unsheath and try to get a stagger when they try to phase transition, and from here we can kind of get a riposte and a few more R1s to kind of kill them. And you always want to have them be in this loop, because if you miss one of your attacks or if they don't die on time, the other one will spawn and things kind of go off the rails at that point. You don't want that to happen at all in this fight. There we go, we got a stagger on him. This one kind of didn't work out perfectly, but luckily we were able to kind of improvise and kill that one. So again, we go back to Saint Trina's sword, try to make this one fall asleep. You will see that we are avoiding a lot of one-shots because of the raised defense at max HP talisman. So that is coming in really handy in this fight. We were able to inflict sleep on the skinny dude. Finally, we're gonna get some more R1s, build up some bleed. He's gonna try to summon the fat dude. And this kind of went off the rails for sure, but luckily we got a stagger, and we're going to do a few more R1s or weapon art to kill him. And now we are going to try and sleep this one, I think. I could try to parry him, but parry is not nearly as helpful here, because sleeping them and making this a one-on-one is a lot more important. Honestly, I wasn't even looking at their HP bar, so when he like suddenly died here, I was so shocked. Because I was sure that the skinny one was gonna spawn and kind of take this off the rails. And there we go. Godskin Duo is done. Next up is Maliketh. This was a very scary fight and it took me a while to learn this one. But when you actually learn it, it's very satisfying to dodge all of his attacks and stuff, and I was able to get a hitless attempt on this fight, so it was just really nice. So we are using the Serpent Hunter, we are using the talisman that boosts charge attacks. So the main premise is you want to bait out this attack and do a charge R2 after dodging it. So charge R2 builds a lot more stagger than normal attacks, so we are going to rely on that to kind of stagger Maliketh in phase 2. get one more charge R2, and as soon as the phase starts, we kind of walk back and then walk under him and do 2 charge R2s to stagger him. Then we take the riposte and do 1 more charge R2 to get some more damage in before he kind of flies away. Now from this point on, it's purely RNG. We gotta dodge his attacks, take our attack openings wherever we can. The most scary attack he has is kind of like the Millennia-ish move that he does. Because you gotta have your timing right to dodge behind him for that attack. Just like that. And we can get a jump R2 there. But yeah, other than that, I'll just let this fight play. And 1 more R1 to finish him off. Finally, we are in the end game. Next up is Gideon. Now honestly, I was really scared for this fight because I hate this boss, so I especially leveled up some Great Soldier Ashes which you can grab in Nocron just for this fight. So they will help me distract Gideon while he kind of spams away at his magic. And I'm just going to try to kill him as fast as possible. But yeah, as you can see, he can just spam magic all day. This is kind of one of the worst things about this game in terms of the NPC fights that use magic, because they have like infinite FP, so they can just spam magic all day if you let them. And there we go. The boys killed Gideon. And next up is...
Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
And this is one of my favorite fights in the whole game. Love this fight. Again, same as the Golden Godfrey fight, it's a lot more just dodge, attack, dodge, attack. He killed me a few times, but then I decided to kind of take off my gear, and because I really wanted to get a hitless attempt on this boss, just because it's so satisfying to fight. So I'll just let this clip play, and then we'll get to the final boss. And with that, Godfrey is done. Coming up next is Radagon and Elden Beast. This is a really long fight, and I am going to use parries for Radagon because, of course, he is fairly easy to parry once you learn his attack timings. You can parry most of his attacks, which I really like. Unfortunately, it can be very RNG because sometimes he can just decide to fly away all the time and not give you any parryable attacks, which can be very annoying. But overall, a really satisfying fight. I love the Radagon portion of this fight. Elden Beast is just a lot of kind of running around, trying to catch up with him, get a few hits in before he decides to kind of run away again. So it can be a bit annoying and tedious. But Radagon is just fantastic. Finally, we put on the charge attack talisman because we are gonna try to get a stagger on Elden Beast right at the start of the fight. So we are trying to get 2 charged R2s at the beginning and then run up behind him, and hopefully we'll get a stagger after doing 2 more charged R2s. And there we go, we get the stagger here. Gonna get some more charged attacks and get a critical hit. Some more charge attacks, and now he's going to run away. That's like the best start to this fight I was able to get. From this point on, it's a lot of just RNG, running around, dodging, and trying to catch up with him after his attacks. So I'll just let the footage play. Then we'll do some more optional bosses. And there we go. Last boss done. Now we can circle back to some of the bosses that we missed, which in this case I'm going to go back and do Mohg, because of course another one of my favorites. For Mohg's fight, he is very susceptible to bleed, so I infused my katana with the bleed Ash of War, so we can get some more bleed build up fast on him. He has a lot of HP and we don't have a lot of damage, so this was kind of the best course of action in this case. The phase 1 shouldn't be too bad. He has some of those blood spills which can waste some time, but overall it's not nearly as bad as phase 2. So in phase 2, every single attack that he does splatters blood all over the floor. I was trying to get a hitless attempt on this fight, but unfortunately the blood spills are just kind of too much for me. They build up bleed on you and they're just really hard to avoid. I'm sure it's possible and I'm sure people have already done it, but I just couldn't get it. So here's the final attempt, so I'll just let the video play. And with that, we are done with the Elden Ring hit list. I was trying to do Millennia as well, and I'm not having success right now, so I'll hopefully post another video separately for her. Other than that, hope you had a nice time, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.